How you doing?
Doing all right. The Phillies going to win tonight?
I think so. Are you nervous as an Atlanta fan?
Not in the least. Not in the
No.
least.
It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Um, yeah. So I have the Phillies game on DVR, so no spoilers. I appreciate that. Um, but yeah, appreciate you all being here during playoff baseball on a Wednesday. Uh, we'll get everybody up on stage. Got M. Dudis with the hand raised. Sent the invite. There he is.
Hello, hello.
Excellent.
Excellent.
So welcome everybody.
everybody.
Getting some
Getting some
feedback,
feedback,
Jim. If you wouldn't mind muting for a sec. There we go. So this is a big, important call. I want to thank you all very much for being here. I mentioned a couple points. So we're going to be focusing a lot on prepared materials in response to all of the questions that have been asked, as well as the questions submitted via the Google form. Of course, it is true that more questions will arise as a result of questions answered here tonight. We will spend some time at the end to address questions raised in chat. You can use the chat here in the podium chat. And we're more than happy to have a couple folks up on stage for discussion if time allows. We're aiming for 30 minutes tonight, but I'll stick around and chat about various questions after if you'd like. But that being said, we're going to keep it civil and positive. We may have disagreements about hows and whys, but the fact of the matter is we're all here working together towards the same goals. We're going to be kind and respectful on all sides of all issues. And with that, I'm excited to get started. We've been working hard to get as much detail possible for tonight's call. So yeah, let's have some fun. With that, Jim, take it away.
Hey everybody. So it's been great having the discourse we've had over the last couple weeks. I think that, in Web3, I've been involved in this space since 2013, 2014. And I know that a lot of the communities that are out there right now are, functionally not operating. And I think one thing that's different about Links, and one thing that's different about our community, and one thing that's different about how the overall Web3 ecosystem views us, is that we are laser focused on delivering for our membership, for our community, and taking the initial concept that we had and delivering on that and expanding well beyond it so we can all see a ton of value. So, Coop, I appreciate that intro. And maybe one thing before I hop into some of the strategies for the overall business and how we're working to scale it is our community is the beating heart of the project, right? So everybody that's on this call right now, if sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard, guys, but the fact that you're here and that you're engaged is really what has brought us to this point and what will continue to bring us into the future. Okay. So for those of you that say that, we don't care about leisure and global memberships, that is functionally not the case. What we try to do every single day, the fact that we're trying to build a scalable business is in service of delivering more for you on a day-to-day basis and making sure that this project can continue for decades to come. Okay. So I want to make sure that that is super clear to everybody and make sure that all of you understand that that's what we discuss as a core team every single day. Because also one thing to remember is almost every single person on the core team came from the community first. Chris Bruce, who's our COO now, he was the leader of the finance pod. Mr. Senior Hill, who is not on this call because he's getting married this week, which is pretty amazing, was leading the product pod. Myself and Mike, we were NFT holders before we were working on this thing on a part-time or full-time basis. And myself, I as a leader of this overall organization, I didn't take a single dollar of compensation for the first 9 months I was working on this because I was a passionate community member first. All right. So one thing that's really important to remember is that our community is critical because almost everybody that is part of the core team was part of the community first. Okay. So we have a lot of questions that have come from you guys over the last couple of weeks, which we very much appreciate. the debate is important, and overall the discourse, like I said at the onset, is also critically important. All right. So just a handful of things that I want to focus on before kicking it over to Chris Bruce is our number one goal over the course of the last 18 months has not only been delivering incredible value for our overall membership, but it's been how do we create a sustainable business model that will work for us this year and overall into the future. Okay. Now, one thing that I'm sure that most folks on this call are very intimately aware of is that since we launched this project, the consumer NFT market is down roughly 97%. And when we started this project, one of the key business tenets was we are going to also see about a 7.5% return on our overall secondary sales for Links NFTs. Well, that is completely dried up, right? With all of the evolutions within OpenSea and other NFT markets, functionally, the secondary NFT market is not something that will bring any type of project, any amount of revenue that's meaningful for a sustainable business. Okay. So one thing that we've been really focused on is how do we continue to expand the membership outside of the Web3 market? Because as I'm sure all of you agree, we have a corner of the Web3 and golf market that nobody else has ever had. However, most consumers are not in the Web3 market anymore in any meaningful way. So we had to expand outside of that and really focus in on more of the Web2 marketplace, while also making sure that all of our global and leisure NFT holders are seeing the most value out of their membership. And the global and leisure members continue to be the most important part of our business model. Spay initiation rates, which were really very extraordinary, have been particularly exciting and inspired new avenues for US golf courses that Chris and Bez mentioned last week, including JVs with some of the potential JVs with some of the leading golf course owners in the marketplace, as well as partnerships with the largest golf companies out there. And for partnerships, I also want to really dig into why it's so important that we continue to expand our overall membership. So right now, we have fewer than 10,000 members, right? That would be NFT members or more fiat paying members of Links Golf Club. When big companies are out there making deals with different organizations, they're looking for millions of members, okay? The reason why Callaway has leaned so much into the influencer space is because guys like Good are getting 1 million plus views on their videos, right? They're exposing Callaway to new and younger consumers. And right now we are punching way outside of our weight class in terms of the consideration and benefits we get from partners with less than 10,000 members. We need to change this, everybody. We need to focus on how do we add our next 100,000 plus Links members so we can build a sustainable business together that accomplishes not only what we've set out to do, but well beyond that, right? So how do we continue to bring incredible new green grass golf experiences to our members? How do we go out and acquire not only one golf course in the US, which we continue to work on to no end, which you all heard last week, but how do we continue to focus on expanding well beyond that to more than 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, up to 10 golf courses for all of our members that are very high quality private golf courses that only Links members can access. Okay. All of these things are right in front of us. We just need to continue to focus on adding additional members to bring additional value to our global and leisure holders and incredible value beyond what you all are seeing today. Now, this is what we would call a entirely new avenue of operating an organization and a project. This is a DAO hybrid structure. So the way that the regulatory landscape of the US is in reality right now, a pure DAO structure, pure anonymous DAO structure is not something that can exist without a lot of regulatory scrutiny. And this is something that we've continued to be very careful about. Also, buying real world assets a la a $10 million piece of real estate it's not possible in the way that DAO structures exist today in pure purity, right? So we continue to focus on how can we have our community have an outsized voice in the direction of the project while also staying within the regulatory realities and legal structures that we can actually work through today. Okay. So when we always talk about is it a pure DAO? Is it not a pure DAO? A pure DAO cannot exist today in the United States. If we were in another country, perhaps yes, but right now in the United States, a pure DAO that is acquiring real estate does not work in the current regulatory structure, right? So what we want to do is, and Coop's going to talk about this a little bit later on, we want to focus on how can we give leverage and influence to our community in enacting what they're interested in for the overall corporate structure that we have today, right? And we have to stay within those realms of reality because that's the way things work as it stands right now. So how did we get here? We started in an incredible bull market that had incredible secondary sales. And as I've said before, that market doesn't exist anymore. And we really, as a group, what we need your help with is how do we continue to expand our overall membership with new members that are really interested in what we're creating as a group. The LGC membership packages, as you know, offer varying access to Links ecosystem. They start at $99, they go up to $1,500, and come with some of like the best golf course access on the market. These are the current priority for the organization and will continue to be. With Mr. Senior out, Coop is going to talk a little bit more about what our product roadmap looks like. But right now, we're going to be releasing in the next couple of weeks some like killer new clubhouse design. Shout out to Zach Barron, and some incredible new flow for onboarding new users. Growing the community, increasing revenue, and adding paid memberships enables us to continue building our partner network. It allows us to develop incredible new products like Clubhouse and Links Leagues, and allows funding of the community initiatives and top quality golf experiences. And it's worth noting that while these memberships are not dilutive to NFT holders, when we add a new paying member, our NFT holders' great benefits stay exactly the same or improve as we continue to add to our benefit list and our overall partner list as we add new members, and it's interesting for them. And in fact, it just adds to our leverage to continue adding new and better benefits in the future. So NFT holders have exclusive rights to vote and participate in the overall ecosystem. And our new members have no inherent rights to membership at future U.S. courses. Global and Leisures do. Global and Leisures, your benefits exist for a lifetime. All of our new memberships, they exist on an annual basis. So remember that your NFT holds the best value overall in the Links ecosystem. If you have questions about how this business model works, or if you think that there are better ways for this organization to generate revenue, guys, speak up. Speak in the Discord, right? What I do ask you all to do is, I will say that communication is key. So the core team is working super long days to make sure we're delivering for the overall community on a day-to-day basis. Please do not ask them tons of questions that are going to create more work. But if you have great solutions and great ideas for how we can continue to grow this project, please speak up, because it's a core tenet and like the core philosophy of this overall project. And something that's super important to me, it's super important to Mike, and it's super important to everybody on the core team, the starter team, and the overall community. So if you would like to be more involved, we've already developed one of the most robust contributor systems in Web3. And while we are aiming to be super smart with our overall spend and a really good steward of any of the financial resources that we have, Cooper has shown me plans for rework of Discord and a new generation of contributor systems that will be rolled out soon. And we'll cover a product roadmap from Coop a little bit later on this in the call. We want community contributions, ideas, suggestions. We are a small team who originated, like I said before, as token holders and community contributors. We are all members and we are in this together. Now, I want to address a few specific questions. So one of our members asked about Spain memberships as non-NFTs. So why did we do Spain memberships as non-NFTs? Who made that decision? So on and so forth. So we've chosen to make these more traditional annual dues, as that is an important part of the ongoing funding of the course. And it's also important that we get people's identities for accessing the course and so on. Otherwise, people could just rock up and get onto the course. The primary goal here is to have the ultimate golf membership not with the asset that's tradable, right? Like we've always said, of course, we all love if the NFT value goes up, but our focus as a core group is not about NFT price, right? We do not deal in speculative assets. We focus on membership value and delivering the best possible membership for everybody that chooses to be a part of the Links Golf Club. And this seemed to be the best way to do it. Additionally, we do not want to further confuse the membership ecosystem by adding more membership token types, because one thing that we've learned is we have so many incredible resources, so many incredible assets that we can bring out to the golfing community, because we've closed so many deals with great golf companies. We now have an unprecedented level of private golf course access. But all of this tends to be relatively confusing for the general golfer that's coming in and wants to be a part of Links. We want to simplify things, and adding another NFT layer is probably going to simplify, or not going to simplify things and make overall NFT marketplace a bit confusing. When it comes to finances, I want us to remember the lessons learned from Constitution DAO. We are now a player in the overall golf business ecosystem. And there's a lot of folks that are trying to either copy or downplay what we're doing. If we are being super public with our overall balance sheets, it does not serve us whatsoever as an overall community, as a project. It also certainly doesn't serve equity shareholders or anybody of that sort to share exactly what we have on the balance sheet. That allows other companies, other projects to fully take advantage of us, to pounce on us. And we need to make sure that we're being super, super smart about this. So we want to be as transparent as possible with everybody on this call, but financials are not something we're going to be sharing publicly on Discord and Discord spaces and or Discord podiums and Twitter spaces. There's been a number of questions about finances, and with what we can be fully transparent on, Chris Bruce is going to go as deep as we can as soon as I'm finished. Additionally, we do not want to confuse anybody on this call in terms of where we stand. There's one thing that I want to be sure about, is that we have millions in the bank, and we're in a very strong position to move forward and accomplish our goals. Despite the downturn in the NFT crypto markets, because we have been prudent with our capital, whether it be from our initial membership sales, secondary royalties, or from our seed round, we are in a very strong position as a group, as a family, as an organization, to move forward beyond what we ever hoped we would accomplish initially. Okay. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Chris Bruce to talk a little bit about the treasury. There were some questions about the Spade Bay purchase price, as well as where we're going on sourcing courses in the future at Pro Shop, and a couple other things. I thank all of you for being super engaged in this project and what we're all trying to accomplish as a group. You have a core team of really talented people that are obsessed with delivering value for you. I ask you to always bring new ideas. I will increase the amount of communication we have about what's being worked on, the roadmap, et cetera, because that's on me, and we need to do that more. I would also, if anybody out there on this call believes that this core team is working hard, doing great things, working in the best interest of this group, because they are so passionately every single day, also give them some shout outs, right? So everybody could use some positivity as we work to bring this into an incredible different model that's changing the world of golf together as a group. So that, I'll pass it to Chris Bruce.
Hey, folks. So I'm going to run through, basically hit a bunch of kind of more finance-oriented questions that we've received through the forum and seen in the chats and everything else. As Jim mentioned, we aren't going to be sharing full financials for the reasons he went through, but we want to share kind of as much as we can in terms of kind of where we are, answer some, or try and straighten out some confusion that we've heard people have, and so on and so forth. So I'll just start running through that here. So we got a number of questions just around the treasury in general, right? And so I wanted to kind of address that, and hopefully straighten some stuff out. So, you all will recall historically, we had funds in the NFT primary sale, visible on Etherscan. You go to the link. And I saw a few people commenting on this, but many of you may have missed, but so the reason these were moved off chain was actually kind of back in the spring during the SVB collapse, the Silicon Valley Bank collapse, and kind of simultaneously the USDC stablecoin depegging. And it was literally out of pure necessity, right? Like this was like the most stressful day of my work career, I would say. We were at real risk of losing, everything, all the funds for the company, for the project. So, we took swift action. So, things were moved off chain at that point. They were, stabilized in a more traditional account, earning interest. Obviously, interest rates have been rising. That's relatively important for, just kind of ongoing finances. But so, that was a very quick and swift decision made by us just to secure the future of the project. Since then, the unfortunate reality is that there isn't a great way to earn interest on chain without significant counterparty risk or credit risk or other risks. And we've kind of all seen the various crypto implosions over the past number of months. So in our determination, that's not the best place for funds to be kept, and not really ultimately just in service of the long term mission of what we're all trying to do here. So, there were a lot of questions just around that, right? Like where the treasury go? Where's the scaling? So that is the kind of backstory and the history around that. The other piece, which, I think is important, we got a lot of questions around, to the extent of, how much is left in the treasury, therefore, how much do we have to buy a course? And I think it's worth stepping back for a second here, because it's kind of not that black and white, and just kind of everyone's on the same page of how this works, or how we're going to achieve our goals, right? Of acquiring at least one U.S. course, developing it into a world-class course, so on and so forth. So it's important to note, right, that I mean, there's a few things here, right? One is the NFT primary sale funds weren't intended for course purchase anyways, right? Like we've talked about this in the past, but for all the reasons that Jim went through, those are explicitly kind of set up for running the company, the project, so on and so forth. In addition to that, we have raised additional capital that's off chain, right? So it's not like looking at the treasury in the past was kind of a holistic picture of our finances, right? It's just not the case. And then the lastly is really important, and we kind of touched on it last week, but the fact is there are more financing options for purchasing a course than just purchasing all cash up front, right? Like we're exploring all types of different deals, all types of different financing options. So kind of the straight 1-to-1. Here's our budget. Here's what we're going to pay for a course. We aren't kind of constrained in that manner, right? And so it's kind of knowing that information and trying to hinge on it off of it, isn't really necessarily easy when it comes to like our ambition for purchasing a course and bringing that into the Links ecosystem. So I want to spend a second on that. That all kind of is important. Hopefully that's helpful, because I've seen a lot of kind of questions around that, which kind of implied confusion there. But so as Jim mentioned, right, we are in a good position. We've got millions in the bank to go out and execute on that. We are doing our absolute best to be good stewards of the mission. And execute along that with all the resources that we have. Okay, so that's on the treasury piece. So I wanted to hit on Bebe specifically. We got a bunch of questions. What was the purchase price, so on and so forth. So happy to share that here. There seemed to be a lot of kind of consternation around it, which I don't think there needed to be, but we did want to kind of get through the full process. But so the Spade purchase price was 1.5 million pounds. So that was greater than the list price, which we showed before. The list price, I think, was 750,000. So greater than that, but it was still a very competitive process, right? We've mentioned this piece before, but at least our understanding by talking with the sellers is that we were actually one of multiple bidders at that price, or at or near that price. But actually, what kind of put us over the top was the community, and kind of the vision for what we would be doing to the place, or how we would develop it in the future. So, it was kind of a very market transaction, if you will, publicly listed, and so on. But in our estimation, still a steal. And, obviously we had a lot of support when we put it to a vote and everything else. So, and yeah, Jim or Bez, I think, mentioned this on the call last week, but we've gotten a lot of kind of external support of that purchase law, right? The founder of Cabot, Ben Cohen-DeWar, was telling us he thought it was a great purchase, and couldn't think of better first purchase for a community like this, and so on and so forth. So it's obviously good to hear that kind of external validation. So that's a purchase price. We obviously have significant plans for improving the course. We're still, I would say, at like the beginning of that journey, right? And we'll have a lot more to share on that and discuss in the future. And you'll see more on that coming out continually. There'll be even a greater level sent out to Spade Bay members, because they're obviously even more invested in that, and so on. Okay, so that's the Spade Bay piece. We obviously got a bunch of questions about that. There were a few other things I wanted to hit, just kind of running through some of the additional finance-related questions we got. So one was just a question around, like, how much are we paying consultants or, advisors, assistants in sourcing courses? And I thought this was a kind of important and good one to share. And the answer is zero, right? Like we aren't out here just, paying ongoing run rate to help us source courses. We have a ton of partners in this endeavor, which is great. Obviously, we've talked about Kemper a lot, and we've developed a lot of relationships through the course of this project. But, we aren't paying on an ongoing basis anyone to help us. That goes, from Kemper, other, kind of large golf brands, to brokers, to any other entity, right? So I do think that's important, in that, that's not like a contributor to, ongoing operation expenses or anything we need to think about, right? Like what we're doing is pounding the pavement and, spending lots and lots of time trying to do that ourselves, right? All the entire team here that's trying to do this. And so the last piece I wanted to hit, we got some questions around basically other revenue streams. So, the pro shop events, everything else that you may see here, or you may see us kind of offering, or out there that Links is doing, and whether that's a profit center, how we think about that, or whatever else. So the short answer is, in general, how we've thought about these things is they're more benefits for our members, right? Like, it is just another instance where we're doing our best to source as many things to add value to people's memberships, primarily NFTs, right? But also, touching on some of the new fiat memberships. And so that goes for the pro shop, right, where we offer deep discounts to members. We more or less, don't make any profit on it, but we're giving these huge discounts to members as a benefit of being a member. And ultimately the same goes for events, where we're offering things like, the ability to play top 100 or other really premier courses, everything else, right? These aren't like profit centers or money generators for us. This is just us attempting to deliver more value for all of the members that we have. Now, I'm open to like feedback on that, or if people have better ideas how we might roll this into the business model, have a super sustainable model that helps support what we all want to have over the long term. And I'm always open to ideas on that front. But in our estimation, right, it's like when we think about, well, should we be trying to charge more money to our own members, or grow the membership and really hit some of those kind of virtuous cycles in terms of leverage with partners and everything else that Jim mentioned. The latter seems to make a lot more sense for a number of reasons. Okay, so I think that hits the majority of the questions I wanted to run through. Hopefully that helps, provide some additional detail on all those things. Last thing I'll say, I mean, we're, continually, right, like discussion is open, proposals are open, we will continue to fund community initiatives and so on. But it's all with this lens behind it, right? So, please, some in the chat, give us more feedback. We want to keep kind of supporting and generate as much discussion and ideas around how we might do that even better. So, please don't hesitate to jump in and give us that. Okay, so that's it for me. Now I'm going to hand it over to Coop on the topic of proposals and community feedback and everything else. I think he's going to hit a number of other questions we've gotten.
Thank you, Chris. Yeah, y'all. So I've heard the feedback. I've been in chats with you. I, as well as everybody up here on stage, recognizes we need to and will do a better job of putting out the work and ideas at the idea stage, in front of the broader community for feedback and ideation, right? That's loud and clear. We've heard that. We want everybody to know that is 100% right in front of us, right? So to that effect, I'm working to create more ways for LinksDAO members to have visibility in transparent roadmap project efforts, right? So that's on a day-to-day basis. Any token holder, you're in members chat, right? We're going to have new systems here in the Discord. We went from a Google Doc to pods to pillars, right? And we're entering into kind of this new phase. And I want to make sure it's working as efficiently, effectively as possible. And that, anyone who wants to know what's going on can take a look and see what's going on, or, have a general sense of what people are working on so that they can raise their hand, contribute to these goals that we're talking about, right? Growing the community, building our benefits value course network, and then of course buying US Course One. So that's goal one. Any member can be able to view transparently kind of what's going on. And then goal two, one of the questions that was raised was about kind of having a community board or board of advisors or similar structure. The fact is you're all on that board, right? Like we're having this call, we're having these conversations. Team members are really active in the chat live while we're up here on stage. But I think that's a really interesting and cool idea. I'm excited to work with the person who asked that question, as well as other members who might be interested in setting up some type of structure in that way to get more transparency and more insight at deeper and higher levels on like a periodic basis, right? I think that's a really cool idea. And that we can work and sync potentially even outside of Discord to work with the team on something like that. So great question that kind of came off as a recommendation that we can definitely work on together. Like I mentioned, going to be some Discord changes. And then one thing I'm really excited about is this product roadmap that members can access, comment, and suggest. That's going to be updated really frequently. Again, shout out to Mr. Senor, who's doing his wedding right now, but and also the devs for setting this up. But I'm going to post it in chat here in the podium chat as well as in members chat. You can take a look at this product board. So you can look at all kind of active and ideated projects that the team is working on. You can prioritize it. You can say this is not important, or I think this is really important. You can also suggest your own ideas in that, and it goes directly to the team that's working on the product. So I think that's a really, really great thing, and I'm sure next week Mr. Senior will have a stronger breakdown on how to use that and what ways you can be more involved using that feature. But ultimately, I want to say that our commitment to the community is pretty unparalleled, right? I know there's been a lot of input about things that can be done better, and that's so appreciated. But we wouldn't be here if we really didn't deeply care. And additionally, like I know it's end of summer, beginning of fall, and there's usually a lull around late summer and all of that. But our community participation rate is a shining example of success in Web3, right? Versus where we started, our DAO proposal voting rates, our community activity is a shining example of success. We're here. We're not going anywhere. We're going to continue working together towards these goals. So, really wanted to appreciate and thank each and every one of you for speaking up, raising your hand, saying things, speaking your mind, right, and pushing this organization forward, right. That's what this is all about. So, big shout out, thanks to Bez and Seabruce, Jim, for sharing that. Be sure, if you didn't listen to the course chat from last week with lots more from Bez. And then, yeah, Mike, do you have anything you'd like to add? I see you up here on stage to this, and I'm going to jump back into the chat and some of these questions. If anyone wants to raise their hand, we could probably have time for a couple of questions, some chat here before we wrap up. Mike, if you're talking, we cannot currently hear you. I want to check your audio. Can anyone hear Mike? Might just be me.
I can't hear him, Coop.
All right. Mike, do you want to try to disconnect and reconnect? See if we can get you back up here. Cool. Awesome. Appreciate the chatter as well in the chat while we're going. This is great. Feedback on that product board is really cool. We're gonna have some awesome more opportunities. But Mike, are you working? How's that audio? No dice. Mike, we cannot hear you, FYI. I'm gonna try to check the audio here. Apologize for the technical difficulties, y'all. We'll get this figured out.
Hey, can you hear me now?
Hey, we can. Welcome on stage. How you doing?
I blame. I was watching on my computer and listening on my phone. Yeah. So look, I appreciate all the remarks that I heard. But yeah, I'm here to basically have a conversation now. So I don't have anything to do the rest of the night. So let's have a chat, friends. I want to definitely hear from more folks. I think I heard Jim say, look, we want to hear from people in the community. I think we definitely have heard some very strong, persuasive, loud, and I think interesting and in many cases accurate voices. And I really appreciate Jim and Chris and Coop and Bez, the responsiveness here and saying, look, we understand some of the things. The bottom line is the intentions of the core team are terrific. The prospects of the project are terrific. The accomplishments, I mean, I've said this numerous times in the chat. Yeah, I've been asked to apologize for things, and like I'm not going to apologize for the overall cadence, delivery, and accomplishments of this community, of this project, and of the team. Like I really feel incredibly good about the fact that we own a golf course, about the fact that we have incredible perks and benefits that would more than pay for the membership. Like when I tell people that you can go buy an NFT for the amount of dollars that they're trading now and get all the benefits that this product offers, their minds are blown. Literally, like I've had 3 conversations this week where that's happened. So, I feel really good about that in a market that, Jim said, look, it's down 97%. Like literally the trading volume this week on all of Ethereum was 3% of what it was the week after, we started this project, and the 5,500 plus members joined us here. So the world changed. We continue to execute as a community, as a group, and as a club. And hey, have we been perfect? No. Hey, have we done everything that we set out to accomplish from day one? No. But frankly, we've done some things we didn't set out to accomplish. I think have been really impressive. And I think we're one of, call it a dozen, or some very small number of projects in this space that remain. Okay, so that's enough about sort of the past. Bottom line is, there's definitely a group of folks who I'm really happy that the folks who have been vocal, I can see them in the crowd. Want to have a little bit of a conversation here tonight, a back and forth, and I appreciate the folks who've been vocal, took the time out this evening or in whatever time zone you're in to come up, chat with us. So truly appreciate that. You've done a lot of listening. Let's do a conversation now. But I appreciate that the core team said, look, like the spirit here and the amount of effort, and like you heard Jim say, I mean, the guy didn't take a salary for almost a freaking year to work on this project. Like he was literally not taking a salary because he was passionate about it. He cared. And he wants to make this work. And frankly, I think is doing a really good job. What we want to do now, and what is a evolved environment, but one that, we think we have a strong brand, strong community, strong set of assets, and a strong strategy. We want to deliver the next phase of this project. So I'm really excited to talk with the folks here about how we're going to do that. And it's going to involve all the folks on this call, and then all the folks, I think, frankly, the folks on this call are the folks who influence, and this happens in any project. You heard it here. It's this DAO hybrid type thing. It's always a group of 10, 20, 50, 100 folks who influence thousands, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. So really excited to talk about how we can influence the world of golf in the same way that we did almost 2 years ago now, and frankly have done some really incredible things since. So anyway, that's my little monologue, but I just said, hey, I want to come up for a conversation. I gave a monologue, so let's bring some folks up to have a conversation.
Sweet. Anybody feel free to raise your hand if you want to come up on stage. Happy to have you up here. I know people are getting their questions and comments in the side chats, but feel free. We'd love to have you up at any point.
We can also just pipe through some of the questions. Coop, if you just want, if there were any that kind of hit for you that you just want to lob up, happy to jump in while people are kind of thinking and waiting.
Okay. We did, I think, get through the questions that we wanted to get through, that were asked and answered, and I think some pretty solid explanations about why we can't give more detail in a public Discord call. But
that's what, in terms of which ones, in terms of like financials.
Yeah, detailed financials, right? As much as we'd love to, maybe it wouldn't be the best thing.
I mean, it's pretty impressive. Like we have millions of dollars, which means we have and we own assets, right? So we have millions of dollars in cash, and we own assets, and we have a lean team, right? And we've been very intentional about that team. So, we have folks, basically we have one person, maybe two in every key function and no more than that, right? We have a team of less than 10 people, a core team of less than 10 people that's doing an insane job of building digital product partnerships, building physical relationships that Chris talked about, that everybody here, sorry, not everybody here, but many people here have experienced. It's pretty impressive. So extremely lean. At this point, I'm a VC, so I see a lot of P&Ls, and the burn here is obviously we're not profitable overall as an organization. Everybody knows that, but the burn here is extremely responsible and should give us runway, assuming that the strategy that we're setting out to do, which is expanding the membership, as Jim explained, but expanding it in a very disciplined and differentiated way from the core folks who bought in from day one and or on the NFT. But assuming that strategy works, we think we can execute on all the things we've talked about, in Discord, in all of our communication about growing this into a world-class organization that's global and that has physical properties in multiple locations.
Couldn't have said it better myself. Chris.
I was just going to say, I see a few course related questions coming through in the chat, which we can hit, but I also suggest make sure to go listen to the recording from last week. Could be up on YouTube. Correct me if I'm wrong, Cooper. Where we actually talked about a few of these things, like new builds.
Should we give Baz like 3 or 4 minutes to jump into it? Maybe is there anything? Is it worth? Do you think, Chris? Maybe. Do you folks in the call want to hear us rehash it? Maybe not everybody was on it.
You certainly can.
You're saying, look, the material's out there. Yeah, maybe. How about we could hit it too? I think you made a good point, Chris. The recording's out there, and we can talk about it again. I think right next week or two.
Yeah, exactly.
But yeah, courses aren't cheap, guys. I've said this I give my sort of off the cuff, not super deeply analytical responses, because frankly, I think we've studied this stuff extremely deeply, meaning Chris has and Jim and Baz and Coop. But bottom line is, the cash balance that we have goes down every month because we're not profitable. That's okay. That's expected. The interest rates to borrow money to buy a golf course go up because the Fed keeps raising rates, and the price of golf courses goes up because it's an extremely hot golf market. What I think is remarkable is that this community discovered, and then the core team pounced on a course opportunity that we believe is going to be world-class, literal world-class, very soon. And as the guys discussed on last week's call that I recommend everybody listen to, we have multiple irons in the fire on really, really compelling courses and structures to acquire those courses in an insane financial environment, that, we're a startup, so we do things that are implausible. I think there's a reasonable chance that we're going to be able to make it happen, where we're going to have a U.S. course of everybody's expectations in a reasonable time frame. So I would recommend listening to that call, and then we can kind of go deeper in a different discussion. A projected break-even point. Yeah, that's a good question. No, it's I think, yeah, our projections. So from a projection perspective, Austin, next year, but it's different than I've worked at big companies, like Google and Disney, where you put a financial forecast out and you're already earning X and you're making Y. I think there's a reasonable scenario in which we're cash flow break even in a month next year. but it's supremely kind of like market dependent, right? Market and product dependent. And I will tell you that, we had a couple months where we were profitable on royalties last year, where we thought we could project that forward really consistently. And obviously, it didn't happen. And that type of thing happens too. So meaning, we thought there was a really good chance that this could be a break-even business from, months in 2022, even with pretty significant spend, and that didn't happen because the market changed. So I'm not saying this is completely market dependent, but our model shows that we can be cash flow break even next year. But again, it's dependent on a lot of successes like any startup.
Want to address
SDP. So I'm just gonna keep talking until somebody shuts me up, because I think SDP, that your comment is, if we wait another year with this cash burn, that's a significant loss in leverage. I just don't know what that means. I'd love to have you come up and talk. Like, I think you're really thoughtful. I appreciate your comments in Discord, but I think that requires a discussion. I don't know what you mean by loss in leverage. Like, you can't. I mean, we can lay off the whole team, we can shut down the project. Like, you can't stop burning cash and still execute on the goals of an organization, right? I don't this has been, I think, a little bit of the debate that I've seen in Discord. It's just like, it's not even a philosophical one. You literally, you become path dependent when you start an entity, a project, a company, anything. Where, I mean, sure, you could let everybody go and shut down all the products and stop burning cash, but then the thing doesn't exist. So you're always, you're always on this kind of like risk spectrum where you're investing with a reasonable expectation that the investment in people and brand and marketing, in research, in relationships, in business development, customer acquisition, is going to result in a reasonable return that gives you more leverage down the road. But I think saying default that investing in an unprofitable manner in any startup is leverage reduction scenario is a faulty assumption.
Yeah, to the non-US course point, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, y'all, but I think if we all want a US course at this point, I think we'd have that's definitely the next course, even though we have looked at some good options like Bez said. Nudden, love your
I
questions.
love his questions. Yeah, like, so on events, I mean, if I'm so I'm interested in our answer, and I don't have the answer, so it's almost like asking my fellow folks up here on stage, or if anybody wants to come up from the community to talk about it. I mean, we've not proven that we can do to date profitable events, right? Like, we did the South by Southwest event, which the project, funded and sponsored. We've done Links Leagues, we do meetups, we host events in different places. We've tested it. Candidly, we just haven't. I mean, Coop, correct me if I'm wrong, but we haven't had a profitable events model. It's a different business model. Like, there are great profitable golf events companies. There are great profitable golf merch companies, right? There are great profitable golf course operations companies. Like, I think if we try to do all of them, and these are not bad ideas, by the way, they're not bad ideas. The question is just, where do you focus, and where can you be exceptional as a community, as a brand, and an organization? And so,
and I just to add to that a little bit too. I mean, I touched on a little in one of the answers I gave, but the other piece is like, well, not only can you do it profitably, but can you do it like scalably and sustainably, which is the other question, right? So if you're seeking like a long-term business model that will run this, and we have done a number of things in the event space and so on, and but by and large, as I was mentioning a little bit before, we've thought about it mostly as ways to benefit the members, right? It's you can think about flipping it on its head, and certainly happy about hearing people's opinions on it too. But it is also true that at the end of the day, right, that means our current members, kind of funding and paying for all the things that we're doing, course acquisition, course operation, and so on and so forth. So I do think, what we're trying to do here with the whole strategy that we went through is think beyond that, right? Expand beyond that to something that is much more scalable, sustainable, doesn't just rely on, a continued small group to keep the thing going. Which say, but that's not to say it's not part of the answer. Certainly happy to hear people's opinions on it. But that's just kind of why we have, kind of leaned the way we have. That's the rationale, anyways.
Yeah, I think events are really hard to do, right? And for the size of our team, it's a significant pull of time and material resources. I certainly love the IRL events, and every time we get to meet up, it's some of the best times in the world. I think the TBT style tournament or Barstool Classic is definitely one model. One thing I'm particularly excited about, and I don't want to spill any alpha here, but what we're working on with Links Leagues, right? The ability, you saw regional teams crop up in the last season. We've grown the Links Leagues product within Clubhouse. If you're listening here and you've played golf and you haven't posted a score, go do it now because we're spinning the wheel for prizes again next week. But there's a lot of potential there for having regional tournaments for Links Leagues, and then having a national tournament as well for Links Leagues as that group of players grows, as we get more scores logged. I think there's a ton of potential there for a competitive event series that comes out of that, and at the regional level or local level, it's self-organized, and then winners or people who want to come to state or national level events, we could do something really special with that. So that's something we're working on with Links Leagues and how that plays out. It's going to be, I think, a really fun time on that front. Sweet. Got more in the chats.
Yeah, I'm reading the chat. Chat's flying.
Chat is flying.
Yeah, I mean, Hank, I get it. Like, yeah, like well-run events that don't make money. It's a really good thing. I think, was it Tungsten who said, "Look, we should have an events pod. Like, we should revive that." I actually think that's probably of all the. That's probably the high. And this is just my personal instinct. That's probably the highest leverage, community-driven thing that could happen, because it's real. The core team, I believe, needs to focus on like, hey, what is like scalable, will get us to a place that's break even and will allow us to continue to operate on behalf of NFT holders and any future members of the club. Whereas events are like, how do we do things that are incredible for people in the community, perhaps not scalable, somewhat one-off, but are, the memories, the experience and everything is, the amazing thing of a lifetime that people who, particularly, again, the 5,500 people who own the NFTs will always remember, treasure, and value, and frankly, create experiences that are more important than even monetary value. I don't think we've done that incredibly well. I think we've done it in chat, we've done it, in some of our, online gaming and some of the many things that Coop's done, but yeah, I think a community-driven event strategy is like an area that is underutilized. We did it poorly last year, frankly. Like, we had some community-run events that went over budget, under marketed. It was really it wasn't awesome. It was a really sobering experience, and trying to do community-driven management was really bad, to be clear. I'm not blaming anyone. It was around the horn. I mean, everybody takes responsibility for it. It was really difficult. Yeah. It was very sobering on what it means to be a community-driven project.
Yeah, the end results were very fun. How we got to those points was a struggle for sure. But yeah, I think, doing more IRL. I love the pro shop expansion concepts. I think there's a lot of cool stuff we can do there. But yeah, again, guys, kind of the point of this call is we went over where we were, how we got to where we are today, and the current strategy for going forward with revenue generation and U.S. core sourcing. We've covered both those things this past week. If you have any ideas you want to contribute, we're going to make that as seamless as possible for you. We've heard all the feedback, and yeah, STP. I think that the vote about purchasing a US course is that we don't want to buy a so-so course. I mean, I have tons of faith in, the team, the community to do something special with even a mediocre course, but based off the vote that we had, high quality is really important to this community. That was another thing. That was a question asked that I didn't touch on when I talked earlier. We did that vote on course attributes a little while ago, and I saw some community members saying, "Oh, that was before my time." That or any other votes, right? If we want to do a redo on course attributes specific to this US course search, I'm open to that. If there's community support, we can do something cool on that front. And then yeah, I mean, there's tons of opportunity for us to continue doing cool proposals and votes to hone in on exactly what we want with the US course. Not just one person's comment in the chat, but bringing it to the broader community to discuss and debate. Greg Baker, the LGC membership.
Yeah, can I talk to that one? So I'm asking him to elaborate. I'd love for Greg to be a little more specific. So why haven't they been going as planned? Hey, to be clear, like I thought we would sell many, many, many thousands of these sooner. We have not, right? We've definitely sold a good amount, but not anywhere near as many as I would like us to, and that's like why we're not break even this month. Okay, so why don't I think we're selling more? If I'm being completely candid, it's because we're in this like muddy middle. It's a really weird place where I feel like we're not getting the outward embrace of the brand and the community from the people who are in it today. It's just like it feels like a classic NFT community in many ways, not internally. In the member chat, I feel like we have a really good time. But if we're having a really good time and like we love this thing and we're all like holders and want the club to succeed, like if you were a member at your local club, you go out and you talk to people and you say, hey, I freaking love like Connecticut Golf Club, like whatever one I'm a member at, right? And like people talk about it and you attract new members. Like people just like with the Links Golf Club, people aren't doing that here. Everybody's bitching and moaning and whining and being like, why are we bringing on new members? Well, people see that. So they're like, oh, well, hey, it seems like the people who are already part of the club don't want more people to join. So I don't know, like, why am I going to join this club? Like, that's kind of the vibe that we've gotten. I understand it. I've tried to explain, and we've tried to explain how it's additive and not at odds with your membership. How it's differentiated and how, frankly, it's necessary to continue to deliver the product that you want, given the change in the market climate. But yeah, I think I would attribute a big part of it to the fact that we're not getting the support from the existing members. We are a golf club. And we're basically saying we're going from something where we were like, hey, anybody's welcome, anybody can join, to I don't know if we want more people to join. Okay, that's one. Two, because we are marketing a product to a broader group, we've moved from an NFT only product to one that is differentiated, and we've differentiated it in benefit of the people who are already in the club, right? Meaning we've talked about this, but it's an annual fee. You don't get the voting rights. In order to differentiate it, it actually becomes somewhat confusing to the prospective incremental buyer. Okay. So we have to differentiate it because we care about the people on this call and we care about the core members, but it does make it more confusing as to, well, oh, I've heard about Links. I've heard about LinksDAO. I've heard about this thing. Wait, is the product that they're marketing that I'm buying the same thing? So, our landing, it's very difficult to market it relative to a traditional, just call it, product that you would market that was one singular, very focused product, like the one that, we all purchased in January 1st and 2nd, 2022. Okay. And then I would say the third thing is a lot of it is people have said here, and I see it, it's challenging in golf to sell these products. You can't, people are like, oh, it's difficult to discover what are the benefits, what are the perks. The opacity of the partnerships and the things that we're able to talk about. Unfortunately, we just can't make it crystal clear without breaking our partnership agreement. So again, it's really difficult to market these products in a very clean, crystal clear way. What would help is if people are on the margin about a buying decision, they tend to go to their friends and say, hey, are you excited about, what do you think about this? Do you like this thing? Do you like this club? That type of social affirmation typically helps get people over the curve. We need more of that.
Yeah, to add on to that, I want to, relate that one of the core tenets of success here is, the referral program, right? We have some pretty sweet rewards. And, honestly, as your lowly community manager, I expected higher rates for referrals, right? I think that, I've heard the feedback, right, that folks don't want to be proxy salespeople for LGC memberships. That's completely fair. I understand that sentiment 100%. This is by no means something that you should go and look at as some burden you have to put on, right? We try to make it as rewarding and as fun and easy as possible. But what I want to reiterate, right, is if you're a global or leisure member, referring your friends to join supports the long-term success. Obviously, it's not as directly tied as short-term incentive based as referring your friend to join as global and leisure, and I understand that, but the vast majority of golfers out there don't know how to buy a global leisure, right? Ultimately, this that we're talking about strengthens everything about the ecosystem that we're in, course access, partnership ecosystem that you're a lifetime member at. So I know it's a little bit different and convoluted, and I understand that, but the best thing you can do to serve Links and our long-term success is refer a friend in a city that has a 5-iron to pick up a starter membership, right? Get that $100 gift card right off the bat. I mean, and you get rewards immediately for doing that. And the way that I've seen it work more than a few times is members that we advertise to, members that come in, they go down the rabbit hole of Links and discover this awesome community, the DAO, everything else, and they say, "Oh wow, look at global, look at leisure. I think I want to look at that." So it's a different pipeline. It's more interesting, but ultimately, right, this is what we're working on. And if you have ideas on how to improve, iterate, support the mission there or improve the referral programs or better ideas, like Tungsten said, right, the buy-in to this concept, right? It's not just the core team's project, it's all of our project, right? This is longevity for all of us. So if you want to contribute to that effort, like Jim said, it's wide open. We want to hear from you. We want you to help, whether that's referring one friend or whether that's submitting your ideas or proposals for more process improvements or whatever it is it may be. So you have my word. I'm gonna open up a lot more transparency on the workflows here, like we've talked about. But it's something we're all building towards in addition to the US course that sustains this entire organization, right? Yeah, I mean, a lot of golfers, like Gonza saying, think crypto's a scam, right? That's part of why we built LGC. We are, you know, in my opinion, the least scammy, you know, blockchain-based organization. We went out and bought the golf course, so we're gonna continue pushing forward. But yeah, golfers don't know about this, and they have to get a good reason, right? I'm proud of this organization for being a reason that many of you, probably some of you here on this call, made your first NFT purchase, right? Created a crypto wallet just to participate in Links. I think that's a really, really special thing that we've been able to, accomplish. But I know we're pushing up on an hour and 10 minutes here, and I think I said about 30 minutes when we kicked off.
I do love the questions, honestly. It's been, and I appreciate the comments as well. Like, I do think the chat has been really fair. Some skepticism, some really good ideas that I think we're all going to read through and copy, and respectful. So, like, you heard it. I mean, you can hear it. Like, I hope you can hear it. Like, in the voice, like, we care. And we'll run this chat back again, if we want to, whether it's next week or the week after. But and then again, okay. But you have our word that I certainly recognize that given the gravity of the changes in strategy, it's clear that the community. And certainly the most involved folks in the community expected more significant voice, participation, and just deliberation, debate. And so I understand that. And I think it's justified. It wasn't an intentional decision. Bottom line is, we're now at a point where I hope people feel like we're explaining the decisions that, again, some of them were made 6, 9, 12 months ago, but with enough detail as to why the strategic decisions are made and what we're thinking about moving forward. Like, we're not deviating from the strategy unless we hear and can incorporate better strategies. In other words, we're going to continue to sell LGC memberships. We'd love to hear folks' best ideas on what else we can do, and we're hearing some of them already. Can we keep this conversation open and make sure that we crush it? Okay. There are definitely things. I told you the team's lean. It's lean. Less than 10 people on the core team. So, the other 40 people in this conversation are critical, and then all the folks that you influence in terms of getting the best ideas here. All right. We appreciate you.
Seconded. We very much appreciate all of you. Let's keep this chatter going. Let's DAO this. Thanks again to Jim, C. Bruce, Bez, and everybody who's participating here in the chat, showing up here on a Wednesday night for an hour and 15 minutes to talk about Golf DAO. So it's all love. We're gonna keep pushing forward, and I hope if you submitted a question that we got to it. And if
someday, Nudden, we're doing fireside chat, Dudis and Nudden. You gotta tell me. You and I can. I'll discuss that with you in DMs. All right.
I hope Nudden shows up to the 5-iron event in New York on Saturday. Make sure you RSVP. We'll see you all there. It's gonna be a great time. We've got putter fittings from PGA Tour Superstore. We've got all kinds of partners, Holderness and Bourne. We're gonna have Bay up on 2K. It's gonna be a great time. So RSVP with the link in announcements.
All right. Thanks all.
Have a great
Thanks,
night.
y'all.